So I'm revisiting the Myers-Briggs. There was a time that I forsook it completely because, I just didn't understand. I felt like everybody was really different and these things don't really matter. And, I don't really think they matter still to right now, but it's kind of fun to look at how the Father has changed you and to compare yourself to the past and revisit old things to see how you perceive them. And so I did, and I started watching some Myers-Briggs videos, some videos of the ISFPs by a young woman named Joyce. And it was interesting. I mean, definitely some of those people remind me of who I was. Um, I've changed because I have come to Christ. And I think the deal is with the Father is he balances us out because, his son is the epitome of who he is. And so his children will start to change and manifest behaviors that are similar to his because they are being healed and they're being refined. And so one of the huge things in which the Father has changed into me is vanity and being ultra concerned about aesthetics. And so he had me get rid of a lot of things, including my hair. He had me get rid of my clothing. I had bought a $50 bag of makeup the day before, and he's like, get rid of the makeup. And I said, well, I'm doing movies. Like, I got to look a certain way. And he said, okay, well, it's okay to keep these three things. And they were very close to my skin color. And so I had left the house right after that, and I noticed myself looking into every car window trying to make sure that I looked good. And my stomach dropped, and I said, okay, this isn't normal. I'm sick. Like, he knew I was sick, and he was telling me I was sick, and he was telling me what to do to get rid of that illness, which was to forsake all the ultra concern about aesthetics. And so that's what I did. And I focused on the word, and I prayed, and I fasted. I meditated on the word. I held my thoughts obedient to Christ as it's mentioned in the word, which basically means if you have some kind of thought that's not of Christ, and usually you would only know by reading the word or asking the Father, then you would combat that thought with what the truth is. So, for instance, ISFPs, they often struggle with vanity and self-infliction and not considering themselves like a person of worth or attractive person or whatever the deal is. And so you would say, okay, Psalms 139:14, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and great are your works. And so that was one of the things that got me through that insecurity concerning my looks. And also, got me through the rejection I felt that led me to seek validation from other people. And so I really think this is the same process in which other types would also go through when they come to Christ, because every type has their weakness. And so the Father will plant those seeds in every type to balance that person out and to combat that weakness. And I can't really say what the weaknesses are for everyone, and everyone's different. Every type is different, but he will take things away and he will add things so that you can overcome those things. I was also very shy. I would cross the streets when I saw somebody approaching me, which, shyness is definitely a huge quality in introverts such as the FI DOMs. But the Father had told me, well, you have a voice, so use it. And so I use it, and I use it a lot. And people think I'm an extrovert now, but I'm not. I really am still an introvert. I really get my strength, not necessarily from being alone, but from God. But, I want to be alone with God. I don't want to be alone with people all the time. And I spend a lot of time alone with God, and he gives me a lot of insight into things, which, I guess insight belongs to the NI users, but honestly, anyone can have insight concerning anything because we all have the Spirit of God implanted in us. So, anyway, I am seeing after reading the cognitive functions that, there's some truth. I definitely feel like an FI Dom still. I definitely have the strong seed in me to want reform. And that's very evident from my YouTube videos. I have read the word and I see where things do not align with the word. And so the first thing I want to do is tell people what you're doing or what this system is doing or what this church is doing does not align with what is written here. I thought maybe that was a TI thing, and it could be, but I think it's an FI Dom thing as well. And so I'm constantly making videos concerning that. I want to see change. I want to see change in people. I want to help people get to where they need to be, which is under the Creator. And I want to see reform. I want to see the things line up with what the truth is. And so I think my second function is SE, of course. I mean, I still appreciate aesthetics and that kind of thing. They just don't play as big of a role as what they used to. I mean, I'm the type of person, I can look at a tree and see beauty in it, but I give that allegiance to God now rather than just like, oh, wow, tree, you're so beautiful. Even when I see people now, I'm like, oh, God created that person. Where before I used to be like, oh, well, they don't match what the world considers attractive, and so they're not attractive. That's how God has changed me, which is a real blessing. And then I still do art. Like a father told me to go back to doing art. I draw flowers. I've always drawn flowers. I got back to drawing flowers. But one cool thing is the father told me I was a musician too. But the difference is I do it for God. All my art I do for God now. If I'm not doing it for God, if it doesn't say God or have the appearance of God on it, I will sit there and I will draw and I will speak to God while I'm drawing. So yeah, there's some truth in the SE. And I'm also a dancer. That might have something to do with it too. And then, what's the next one? The NI. I get a lot of revelations. I'm called to be a prophetess / teacher. And I have a lot of understanding of the word where other people might not have understanding. Even in IDOMs. I think sometimes, no offense, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but maybe it is the intellectualism that might block NI-DOMs from having the revelations from God. Because maybe as like a TI or a TE user, I look for that structure and things. And so I have realized, the structure is this, what's in the Bible. And so I want to follow that structure. And so it says, you have to go to God for understanding. And so I ask God, okay, what does this mean? What does this word mean? And so he gives me revelation. But even before I came to God, I would still get little epiphanies here and there. And I understood how things interacted and how they worked and what could make the system better, which might be a TE thing, without even understanding why, which is kind of cool. And then, yeah, TE, that, and I can be kind of blunt and brash at times, and people don't like it. A lot of times they just don't like it, but I'd rather just get straight to the point and not beat around the bush. That's just what it is. I think we need that. I think we need that more in society, to be honest. You can be gentle about it, which, might be more of an FE thing, which I think the Father is teaching me. I'm also learning I'm learning to sidestep things in which might cause too much animosity, because sometimes it's just not worth dealing with. You don't want people to just leave angry. You have to think about their feelings and their thoughts and that kind of thing. And that's definitely something that the Father is teaching me at this time. Because I think if one thing's changed so dramatically and I will be very abrupt about it, that it'll turn a lot of people off. And so I think he's balancing that FE and that FI in me, which is it's a fun little experience. And then I think actually my NI and NE I think I'm more NI, but I do think I have a good bit of NE, because I do think about a lot of possibilities now. And I'm just able to see things from multiple perspectives, I think. Somebody can tell me if that's NE or NI. I don't know. It's just so abstract that I have no idea. But the judging and perceiving thing, I do like to explore. I do like organization. My car's not organized, but I'm very great at organizing other people's places. And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool to think about now, just because I've changed. God has changed me. And I do hope that for everyone else, we don't have to be stuck inside these little boxes. Oh, I'm an ISFP and I'm an ESTP, or, we don't have to be stuck in that box, because sometimes it doesn't leave room for growth. And we definitely want to grow in this process. And I'll tell you right now, growing isn't conforming to this world and conforming to what the world considers success, which is usually pertaining to money and jobs and materialistic things. But it really is learning the ways of God and how to love God and how to love your neighbor. And I know, a lot of people probably don't believe that. They have their own sets of belief. But I challenge you to consider some of the things that are in the Word of God, because you really will get growth and understanding and revelation from it. I have literally healed from certain things through just following what the Word says. And, what greater testimony is to test something and then it actually have some fruits to it. So here's what I think ISFPs can do to grow. They can stop focusing on their parents so much and focus more on their spirit. And this is why I said you don't want to get caught in the box of this is my type, this is who I am, because there is a foundation of truth. There really is. And so once you find that out and you start trying to, I don't want to say trying to change yourself, because really it's God that changes you and your connection with him, because he's spirit and his spirit resides in us. But if we don't focus on the spirit, then the spirit won't grow. So then we can't do anything to change. It's sort of like, okay, you want to practice piano or you want to play piano, but then you don't practice it and then you don't get any better at it. And so this is the goal for all of humanity, is for us to grow spiritually. And the only way to do that is to gain a closer relationship with the Father. The second thing is learn how to forgive. Forgive yourself, forgive other people. Jesus says to forgive 70 times, 7 times. And that helped me immensely. And I actually didn't even learn forgiveness in, Christianity. I learned it doing Buddhism, where the word came to me because God speaks to everyone. And it said, forgive. And so I took everyone who I had not forgiven. I put them on a seat and I said, I forgive you. And I started crying in the middle of this silent Buddhist retreat. It was kind of embarrassing. But another thing is, don't worry about what people think about you, because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You have been created for a purpose with a plan, okay? The appearance that you have without makeup, without hair straighteners, you don't need 40-inch long eyelashes to be attractive to a man or attractive in general. Don't even put your worth in being attractive to other people. Make sure you focus on what's going on internally, and that's going to reflect outward, no matter what you look like on the outward, like it is. And don't worry too much. Like, you sit here and you worry about everything, then you're going to have some issues. Like, it literally affects you internally and will make you sick. And so what I do is, if I have any worries, I hand it over to the Father, because he knows what we need. If we ask for it, then we will receive, if it's in his will. And, that means that we don't have to worry about not having something. And so these things have helped me immensely in my life the past 4 years, which is about how long I've been a Christian. And they're true. I prayed for a vehicle. I got a vehicle. And I think 99% of the money that I used to pay for it did not come from me. It came from somebody who graciously gave me some money because she felt led by the Spirit to give me that money. And so, don't worry. Don't worry about what you're going to put on. Don't worry about what you're going to eat. The Creator knows that you need all these things, and he is like a father where he's willing to provide for us. And how much do parents provide for their kids? Where their kids don't have to worry about what they're going to eat or what they're going to wear. Their parents do it all for them. Well, it's the same thing with the Father. So I definitely think ISFPs can grow from this if they apply it. If they don't apply it, they might be, left in the same spot that they're in. Other than that, ISFPs can actually be pretty spiritual people, because at some point you're going to crash. And that's with most people, that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, which is 99.9% of the world. And when you crash, oftentimes you're looking for something, and, some of us find the right thing, some of us find the wrong thing. The right thing to find is God, and he will guide you in your journey in this life. You'll come to know things that you never knew before. I mean, you might not be a genius according to the world, but you will definitely have more peace and more stability, even when you're in a place where there isn't peace. You will tap into your mind a little bit more, and you will tap into your spirit a little bit more, and spiritual truths of God. Anyway, it's been fun. I hope you guys have a great day. I pray that everyone just finds out something new today. Just find something new today.